4 transports came in on a long line as far as you could see. Scores of them, full of troops that landed with, they carried 2 or 3 or 4 jeeps, I think it was, in each one, and they'd lower the ramp and the jeeps would roll out with 4 men in each jeep, and they'd head out taking control of the base, going down all the roads and everything, and taking control of the base. And they immediately got out of hand. This was interesting because this never gets in your newspapers. They started, they were troops that had been waiting to invade Japan, and they had been through the islands and they'd lost many of their buddies. They're shock troops. And they were going to be given their reward by being allowed to be the first ones to occupy Japan. The first ones to pillage, rape, and steal. And as soon as they got out of sight from the runway, they started stopping women and taking their kimonos off their backs in the street. They busted into buildings and stole supplies of stores and found the liquor stores and the commissaries and raided and filled the jeeps with liquor and booze and food, and broke into the stores and took objects, and the Japanese began to complain about our unruly troops. This is not what they expected in an occupation. And so my general got a hold of the commander of the 1st Airborne Division, were the ones that were doing this, and he was a 1-star general, the one that came in with the troops. And he said, look, he said, we negotiated an orderly turnover of the base here, and your men are just running hog wild all over the place. He says, I want you to send somebody out to round them all up, get them back and make them sit on the ramp here with their hands on their heads. And they sent new arrivals out to round up the old ones and bring them back to the ramp, and they got them all sitting on the, parked their jeeps and sitting on the ramp with their hands on their heads. And then my general turned to the Japanese base commander and said, before this he had ordered them to lock up all of their weapons in the armories. He turned to the base commander and says, okay, he says, open your armories, reissue the weapons to your people. You will patrol the base and we'll put a man in each jeep with them, with each patrol. So that was the first self-policing effort, and it worked. They got the base under control. The Japanese policed their own base and treated us as guests, and our men just rode along with the Japanese. They finally worked out a settled relationship where our men just rode along and took care of our people that were getting out of hand, and the Japanese would take care of the Japanese who were getting out of hand. This self-policing worked, and they extended it to the whole island after that.
And whose idea was this?
It was General Victor Bertrandius, the one that I flew in, the one that negotiated the surrender terms.
And he was a civilian, you said, who was made a 2-star general.
Yeah, he was a civilian. He was made a reserve general, 2-star general, just for this operation.
Bill Brophy here has made his way out from Miami, flew to Albuquerque, took a bus in from Albuquerque, and is biked out to the site here and is giving us directions to the site. And Bill, tell us what you know about this event and your visit out here.
Oh yeah, well this comes from my dad being interviewed by Eric Wang after the UFO crash.
Eric Wang, Eric Henry Wang, yeah.
What did your dad tell you about the San Antonio crash?
He's flying his B-29 over the White Sands, over the north end, coming around, where San Antonio, New Mexico is. So there's a ranch down there that run by a guy by Padilla.
And so what did your dad do once he, as pilot of the B-29, noticed the wreckage?
Thought it was an aircraft crash of some type, and
you reported an aircraft crash, right?
Reported back to base. So
and who's the commanding officer at the base at that time?
Maurice Preston, Colonel Maurice Preston.
And what base was it?
Alamogordo Army Airfield.
Okay, so then
231st Army Air Force base unit.
Then your dad, back at the base, was he witness to other events related to the San Antonio crash?
Yeah, they brought a live alien in there. They had the MPs had him in custody.
The MPs had what?
Had him in custody.
Who?
A live alien, small gray. This is the Arkansas loop right here.
So are we getting close to your dad told you for years that UFOs were what was the word he used?
BS, yeah.